Welcome back to Scots Talk. My name is Bradley Hoppenstein. Joining me today is Palm Beach County native and former NFL wide receiver for the Cardinals, Ravens, 49ers, and Lions, 2003 Offensive Rookie of the Year, and 2015 Walter Payton Man of the Year, Mr. Anquan Boldin. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Great to have you here with us. You just spoke to our upper school about social justice reform, political and social issues, but we're going to focus on the sports stuff and your NFL career, of course, right now. So you had quite the career, ranging from being drafted by the Cardinals to your Super Bowl win with the Ravens. What would you say was the highlight of your NFL career?
That's easy. Winning the Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens was definitely the highest of the high when it comes to the NFL.
So when that clock hit triple zeros in the Super Bowl, what was the first thought that went through your mind?
Where's my family? Because those were the people that supported me throughout my career. Had it been, high school, college, and even in the professional ranks. So, my first thought was to find my family and enjoy the moment with them.
Of course, the league's gone through a lot of changes since you played. You almost played in a different era of the game. Now we've seen the NFL trying to protect players more, the league so much more offensively driven now. What do you think of all these changes? What do you make of how the league's changed?
Like you said, it's a different game than, especially when I first came into the NFL. It's completely different. The main emphasis is, safety. Nowadays, if you hit somebody hard, whether it's legal or not, I think you're getting flagged on it. But, when I first came in the league, I remember they had a segment like on ESPN of like the biggest hits. Like that was the thing that was selling football then. But I think it's kind of scared a lot of people, especially with seeing older players who've been removed from the game for quite some time and the injuries that they're dealing with, also CTE. So I think that the NFL has gone away from, glamorizing the big hits and have tried to go more towards what they call player safety. And as a result, you've seen a lot more scoring when it comes to the NFL.
It seems like when it comes to safety, though, the NFL is favoring quarterbacks. What do you think about that?
It's always been that way. Usually quarterbacks are pretty much like the face of the team. So I think the NFL has really tried to protect the face of the team, that being the quarterback. But it's nothing new. I think it's always been that way. I think it's just a lot more obvious at this point.
We've seen since your retirement, you do a lot of work in the communities. You're helping out in a lot of different ways. But since you retired, do you have any regrets about retiring, or do you miss the game at all?
I have no regrets, none at all. I enjoyed my time in the NFL, and I enjoyed being in the NFL. It afforded me a lot of opportunities that I probably wouldn't have had I not made it to the NFL. But I think 14 years in the NFL is long enough. I did my bid, and I'm enjoying the retired life.
So you played with Colin Kaepernick for 3 seasons. Now, athletes have always used their platform to speak on issues, but it seems like since Colin Kaepernick started sitting for the anthem, there's kind of been a spark in the NFL, and due to this, there's now a disconnect between players and the league. So how do you think the players and the league could come together to kind of fix this almost broken relationship?
I think players and the league have actually joined together. I know a lot of people think that, especially when it comes to the whole anthem issue, most people think it's players on this side, owners on this side. But to be honest with you, that's far from the truth. And I think, anytime you have people who paint things with a broad brush, I think that's irresponsible. All players don't think the same. Like, if you poll all of the players, you would get different perspectives when it comes to the whole anthem issue thing. All owners don't think the same. If you poll all of the owners, I'm pretty sure you'll come up with different answers from each owner. I've had the ability to actually sit across from owners and get their take. I've actually had owners who endorsed players who stand up or kneel down when it comes to the anthem. We've actually had owners join in with players who have gone about creating change when it comes to social justice. So to say that the owners are sitting on one side and then the players are sitting on the other side I think is irresponsible.
Do you think part of the problem is how the message was conveyed to the public, that there's such a misperception of the issue?
Yeah, I think so. I think there was a lot of miscommunication when it comes to that, because most people felt like it was Roger Goodell in the NFL saying players shouldn't do this, and then there were the players saying, well, we want to be heard. Like I said, I've had the ability to sit with and work with Roger Goodell and owners in the NFL. Just here in the state of Florida, for example, I've partnered with Stephen Ross, the owner for the Dolphins, on some social justice issues. We've partnered with Robert Kraft in Massachusetts when it comes to certain pieces of legislation being passed in Massachusetts. So there are owners. Arthur Blank is another guy that I can name. You have owners who are at the forefront when it comes to social justice reform, but that's not the story that's being told.
Right. While we're kind of on relationships, what do you make of the Antonio Brown situation in Pittsburgh?
Man, I just think you have a situation where familiarity is happening. And I don't think, what's going on there is anything new. I just feel like, at this point, people are tired of dealing with the same thing.
Should we assume that if the Steelers were winning and in the playoffs, we wouldn't be hearing as much about this?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And that happens in the NFL. Anytime you're winning, things get glossed over. But when you begin to lose and you're not as successful as you should be, then you start to see the problems that are going on behind the scenes a lot more.
With all this talk about different personalities, who do you think was the toughest corner that you faced when you were in the league?
Toughest corner that I faced in the league, probably Champ Bailey. Champ was a guy, he was smart, had good size, and he was a fast guy. So Champ was probably one of the better corners that I faced.
With all of your life experience, from your career in the NFL to, of course, all of the work that you've done post-NFL, what's the best piece of advice you could give our students?
Best piece of advice that I can give anyone is to work hard. And I know it sounds cliche-ish, but nothing's ever accomplished without hard work. Because anytime you set your mind to do something, there's going to be adversities. And the only way to get through those adversities is to work your butt off. And I've never seen somebody work hard and not be successful.
Thanks for coming out today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That was our second ever Scots Talk. From the studio, I'm Bradley Hoppenstein with Anquan Boldin.